Did we go 4-0 last week? I think we did. We ran the board last week. And by we, I mean me. And if you tailed my picks, then not only did you get paid, but you probably did really well last week. Who here made money on my picks last week? I did. And if you tailed me, I'm sure you did too. In fact, some guys parlayed all 4 of my picks and made a whole lot of money. Oh, yes. Now, I know there's nitpickers out there. There's haters and there's nitpickers. And they're going to say, you didn't go 4-0. You lost the Titans pick because when you made that pick, it was plus 7.5. And they lost by 8. Well, that spread officially moved to 8.5. And there's some people telling me that there were sites that were offering 8.5 all week long. So I can easily say that 7.5 was a typo, and I meant to put 8.5. So guess what? Since people are telling me, Jake, we went 4-0. Thanks for helping me win all those picks. If they're congratulating me for going 4-0, then I'm going to go ahead and assume that I did go 4-0. So if you are one of those nitpickers or haters who wants to give me a loss for that Tennessee pick where the spread moved in our favor, go ahead and chalk me up for a loss, you nitpicker. But for the rest of us, we went 4-0. Oh, yes, we did. All right. Patriots at the Dolphins. Both teams lost in week 1. They have the Dolphins listed as a 1.5 point favorite on DraftKings, but over on MGM, it shows you can get 2.5 points if you like the Pats. Money looks like it's equal. So we got what appears to be a game that not as many people are going to bet, and the money seems to be about equal. I like this game. You know what I think? I think this is a perfect week to have a bounce back strategy. I like the Dolphins to have a bounce back win. The narrative is that the Dolphins suck because they lost that first game against the Colts and looked like shit. So the narrative that everyone's spinning is that the Dolphins are going to be a bottom feeder this year, like the Dolphins are going to be a bottom 5 team. I don't buy it. I don't think the Dolphins will be a bottom feeder. I think they will be a middle of the road team, or I think they might even at some point get hot and start scoring a lot of points. And I think they could even contend for a wild card. So I think the Dolphins are going to bounce back and they are going to easily handle 1.5 or 2 or 2.5. So if this moves to 2.5, I still like the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins in this spot a lot. I think they have the weapons there. And if Tua just has an okay or decent game, I think, somebody like Waddle or Tyreek Hill having a big game makes a lot of sense here. So give me the Dolphins in this pick. Make it an official pick. Dolphins minus the 1.5. And if it moves to 2.5, I still like them. And any of you guys in here who think I'm crazy or wrong or whatever, just remember I ran the board last week. I was the only guy last week who didn't mention Micah Parsons' name and won my picks. Yeah, I won that Dallas game and I won that Packers pick, and I didn't mention Micah Parsons' name. Everyone else is like, oh, the defense and Micah Parsons. Oh, and here's some stats. Oh, and this player and this. I didn't name any of these stupid players. I didn't talk about Micah Parsons, and I nailed those picks. I don't care about the players. I don't care about the talent. I don't care about the defensive ranks. All right? None of that matters. If I accidentally call Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, and all you fanboys lose your mind, it doesn't matter. I won my picks. And I think I'm going to do good this week again. So, if I pick a team like Miami and you think I'm crazy, let me know about it in the comments section. But then when I get it right, come back and apologize. The talent is all in your head. All the players are great when they're scripted to win, and all of the players suck when they're scripted to lose. Remember that. All right. So now we're moving on. Moving on to the next game. So this next one is a game I like. This is a game I'm going to make an official pick. So check it out. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals. Jags are getting 3.5 points. Jags won last week. Bengals won last week. We have two teams that won. So those people who saw the Jacksonville game, they handled the Panthers pretty easily. And then Cincinnati just barely squeaked by and beat the Browns by 1 point. So Cincinnati won but didn't cover. Jacksonville won and covered. So I'm thinking people are going to take Jacksonville plus 3.5. But then people who like Cincinnati are probably going to stay away from the minus 3.5, and they're going to want to go to this money line over here. So I'm thinking you're going to see money on both sides of this equation, possibly even equal amounts or near equal amounts. So in this game, I like Cincinnati to cover that 3.5. I feel like Cincinnati at home, they could be scripted to be the front runner in that division. And all they would need to do is thump the Jaguars at home. They would be 2-0, starting out in first place or tied for first place, depending what the Steelers do. And then the narrative could be that that Burrow and the Bengals are legit Super Bowl contenders. And so I think that is more likely. So the chance that Jacksonville wins this game, I don't think is as likely as Bengals winning this game. And then I feel like the Bengals having a strong performance and Joe Burrow having a big game, I think is more likely. So I like the Bengals to cover that 3.5 point. And the fact that they struggled last week to cover the Browns, I think that's going to scare people away from wanting to take them to cover the 3.5. And it doesn't scare me at all. In fact, it makes it more enticing. I like the Bengals covering 3.5 all day long till I break my schlong. All right, moving on. We got Browns plus 600. Wow. At Baltimore minus 752. Okay, what that tells me is Baltimore is winning that game. I would be shocked if Baltimore outright loses. Minus 752, what that says to me is Baltimore is for sure winning, but they don't want you to make any money on it. So they're going to want you to pony up $752 just to make $100. If you are in a survivor pool situation, I think that this is the most safe game on the board. After Baltimore blew the game last week, I think them bouncing back and winning this game is almost a sure thing. That's why we see this big number. And then they have to get some money on the Browns somehow. So they're going to offer you plus 600. I would be shocked if they paid that out. Even if the books are saying there's only 2% of the money, I just don't see them letting somebody come along and throw down $100 and make 600, or throw down 1,000 and make 6,000, or throw down 10K and make 60K. I just don't think they're going to do that. So I feel like the Ravens will win. Now, the big question is, are they going to cover this big spread where it's either 11.5 if you like the Ravens to cover, or you can get 12.5 on the Browns? I think the Ravens have a bounce back game. I think the Ravens win this one by 20 points or more. And the reason I think that is because if anyone tries to tease this 12.5 up to 19.5, I think if the Ravens win by 20 or more, they'll clear the teasers. And so after Baltimore blew last week's game, I really like the Ravens to squash the Browns this week. And I'm going to make an extra prediction. just for fun. I think Joe Flacco at some point has to either get benched or get injured. I don't see Joe Flacco finishing the season as the Browns starter. The dude's 40 years old. The only other quarterback who's older is Aaron Rodgers. So he's like one of the oldest guys in the league. And I just don't see him being a starter the whole way through. So he's going back to play his old team, right? I think there's a chance on Sunday it might be the last time Joe Flacco plays as a starting quarterback. Just call it a hunch. And the reason why I have this hunch is because Shedeur Sanders is on that depth chart. If Shedeur Sanders is on the depth chart, that means somehow, some way, he's got to make his way up that chart. So that means Joe Flacco's got to get benched or he's got to get knocked out of the game. So, could this homecoming for Joe Flacco be the end of Joe Flacco? I think there is potential there. So all these reasons, I'm really liking the Ravens to annihilate the Browns. I don't see that game being close. It would shock me a lot if the Browns won outright and Flacco has a good game. I would be the most shocked out of any game if Joe Flacco has a great game and beats the Ravens. That would shock me the most. So for that reason, I'm liking the Ravens to obliterate the Browns. Especially after they had that meltdown loss last week, and a lot of fanboys are going to be hesitant to put big money on them. This is when you want to take the Ravens. At least I do. All right, Monday Night Football. We got a doubleheader on Monday night, 2 games. So Houston is favored by 2.5 at home. And Houston lost game 1 against the Rams. Didn't look very good. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, beat the Falcons on the road. So I think fans are going to be more so inclined to bet Tampa more so than Houston. Houston being a 2.5 point favorite, I feel like the chance that Houston bounces back at home and plays a strong game here is more likely than Tampa covering on winning and covering 2 in a row on the road. So I feel like Houston having a better game than they did last week sounds more likely to me. I'm going to make an official pick that this Monday Night Football game here, the earlier Monday Night Football game, that the Houston Texans cover the 2.5. So I'm going with the bounce back strategy. The teams that looked disappointing week 1, I think these certain teams are going to bounce back in week 2 and play a better game. So just to recap, my official picks are Houston minus the 2.5, Baltimore minus 11.5, Miami minus 1.5, Cincinnati Bengals minus 3.5. So I like 4 favorites this week. All right, so there you go. Those are my picks. Like them or lump them. Good luck if you are going to bet on any of these games. Bet at your own risk. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just a dude making my best educated guesses as to what I think they will do. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next time. Peace out. Much love. Goodbye. Nighty night.